Hi everyone, I'm going to keep reading Runaway Ralph. We are in the middle of the chapter called The Escape. Lena cradled Catso in her arms whenever she could catch him, and the smug look on that cat's face was unbearable to Ralph. Karen returned to paint her bleach bottle piggy bank. Everyone who passed her work table asked if her watch had been returned, and Karen, busy with her piggy bank, shook her head. Occasionally, Ralph's ears caught the familiar and he looked out to see Garf pushing his motorcycle across a bench or around the edge of a ping pong table as if it were lost in a dream of speed and danger. The sight of his precious motorcycle made Ralph even more frantic for freedom. And then, to add to his troubles, there was still Catso, who had been only temporarily amused by the wristwatch, and who would sooner or later, Ralph was sure, return to the cage. Ralph felt thin, nervous, and run down. His cage was untidy even by mouse standards of housekeeping. "I wish I knew how to stage a jailbreak," he confided to Chum. "If there's anything I can do to help, let me know," said Chum, and cracked a sunflower seed he had earned that morning when he had stuffed his cheeks until he had fallen to the bottom of his cage. "Chum might toss me a sunflower seed instead of those alfalfa pellets," thought Ralph crossly. And as at rest period, Aunt Jill came into the craft shop to straighten supply shelves. Ralph watched as she sorted dried seeds, which looked delicious, as well as seeds and pine cones. Here's a little picture of Ralph. Right there. As he watched, he saw a possibility of help. After all, Aunt Jill, unlike most women, was kind to mice. Looking as small and as pitiful as possible, Ralph clung to the bars of his cage. In time, Aunt Jill noticed him. "Oh, hello there, little fella," she said kindly. Ralph made his whiskers quiver. "Let me out of here," he said, quite sure the woman could not understand. Aunt Jill smiled when she heard the mouse squeak and offered him a sunflower seed, which he snatched, and cracked so greedily that he forgot to look pitiful. "Oh my, but you're a hungry little fellow," remarked Aunt Jill, but she did not offer him another seed. Instead, when the camp awoke, she called to Garf, who came to the door of the craft shop, but he did not enter. "Your mouse is hungry," said Aunt Jill. "Somebody else can feed him," said Garf. "Well, he's your personal mouse," reminded Aunt Jill. "I didn't take the old watch," said Garf. "I don't want to come in there." "I am sure you didn't take it," said Aunt Jill calmly, "but don't forget that you wanted to be the only one to feed your mouse. He is hungry and his cage needs to be cleaned." Garf hesitated, but entered the craft shop. And while Ralph scrambled around looking for a way out, he slid the bottom from the cage. He changed the cedar shavings and he replaced it. He detached the water bottle. He filled it at the sink and was fastening it to the cage when Aunt Jill went out, leaving the boy alone with the two animals. Here, at last, was the moment Ralph had been waiting for. "Say, Garf," he began, but the boy, not expecting the mouse to speak, appeared not to hear. Ralph was desperate. "Say, Garf," he said at the top of his mouse voice. And when Garf glanced at him, Ralph said as loud as he could, "Listen to me. You know that motorcycle you've been playing with? It's mine." And Garf stared at his mouse. "You're talking," he said in an astonished whisper. "I don't believe it. You're talking." Ralph had spoken and Garf had answered. They were both so excited they were speechless. Finally, Garf spoke again. "Go on. say something more. Ralph pulled himself together and remembered why speaking to Garf was urgent. P-p-p-p-p-p. He sputtered to show Garf what he meant. That motorcycle, it's mine. That's the noise I make to run it. You're joking, said Garf, and he continued to stare at Ralph as if he could not believe what was happening. No, I'm not, said Ralph. I hid it under the bamboo leaves just before that cat pounced on me, and I hid my crash helmet too. Your crash helmet? Garf could not help but laughing, which of course hurt Ralph's feelings. The boy pulled the motorcycle out of his pocket. He studied it, and then he studied Ralph. It's the right size, he admitted. If it's yours, where did you get it? Back at the Mountain View Inn. The Mountain View Inn? Garf was surprised. What were you doing there? It is my home, said Ralph with dignity. A boy who was a guest there gave me the motorcycle. No kidding. Garf almost believed Ralph. Let me out of here, pleaded Ralph. I'll show you I can ride it. Garf looked as if he were tempted, but he said almost regretfully, no, you might run away, and I want to keep you. Oh, come on, Garf, coaxed Ralph. Nope, said Garf, and I've got to get out of here. Aunt Jill just left to give me a chance to return that watch, and I don't have it. I don't have it, and I don't know where it is. Ralph now saw an opportunity for bargaining. I do, he said. I know where the watch is. Where? Said Garf. Let me out, and I'll tell you, said Ralph. No, said Garf. I'm gonna take you home with me. Oh, your mother won't like it, said Ralph. She'll make you get rid of me. He knew by the look on Garf's face that he had struck a sensitive spot, so he continued. She will say I am messy, and she will say I smell. Garf looked uncomfortable. Let me out of here and I'll show you where the watch is, persisted Ralph. Garf looked as if he might be tempted. He thought a while and he said, my mother might let me keep a mouse. It wouldn't hurt to ask, and I don't want to know where the watch is. If anyone saw me trying to return it, they would say I stole it and I didn't. Ralph's hopes dwindled. I know you didn't steal it, he said, because I know who did. Who? Naturally, Garf was curious to know the name of the real thief. Ralph considered, should he tell or should he not tell? He decided that telling might convince Garf that he was trying to help. Catso, he said. Catso the cat took it. Garf gave Ralph a look of disgust. Now, I know you're lying, he said. What would a cat do with a watch? And Ralph was beginning to feel frantic. Pretend it's a mouse and play with it and toss it around. You know how cats do. And Garf grinned. For such a little fellow, you sure have a big imagination. I am not imagining it, said Ralph. Catso took it and I saw him, honest. Oh, you just don't like cats, said Garf, and he started to leave. Ralph sat miserably back on his haunches. Well, even if you don't believe me, don't forget to feed me. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me, said Garf, and he gave Ralph a generous supply of food before he left the craft shop. He paused by the bamboo where he had found the motorcycle. He stirred the leaves with his foot, and he uncovered the thistle-down, lined half of a ping-pong ball, which he picked up and he examined. He glanced back in Ralph's direction before he put the helmet in his pocket, and he went to his lodge. Okay, friends, that's where we're going to stop today. We are in the middle of the escape. Dun, dun, done. We'll see what happens next with Ralph. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye.